to another episode. Actually, Matt, this is kind of depressing, but the penultimate regular format episode of the show. Are you sad?
I am a little sad, Bob, but at the same time, I'm like, if they were doing 26 episodes, it'd be such a mixed bag.
Yeah, yeah, of both shows, we're talking Legion of Superheroes versus Star Trek Strange New Worlds. As you may or may not know, Legion of Superheroes ends at season 2, so we will wrap that up in the weeks after Strange New Worlds season 2 wraps up. And then, when Strange New Worlds season 3 comes back, which I believe we know it will, I believe it's been renewed, we'll probably just be covering Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So this evening we're talking In the Beginning, the Legion Season 2, Episode 9, originally aired on the 8th of March, 2008, and the musical episode, Subspace Rhapsody, originally appeared on August 3rd, 2023. Matt, do you want to walk us through the plot of the Legion episode, In the Beginning?
Sure, so Brainiac 5 tells Superboy X the origin of the Legion in saving R.J. Brand while they voyage to save Brand from Grimdor, the Chainsman, and the three founders bicker.
Yes. I forgot the E in Chainsman. It's really messing up Matt here.
I can never get his name right.
Well, partly it's you, partly it's me. But yeah, Grimbor the Chainsman. There we go. We could also just call him Grimbor, but I want to make you say Chainsman.
Yeah, we got to make sure we understand that he has the chains. He's the one that ties people up with the chains.
He's the fetish villain. We need to know that. So, Matt, did you have any thoughts on finally seeing the Legion's funder, who's a Texan, although in the comics he's Quebecois, the star maker, R.J. Brand?
It's kind of underwhelmed, Bob.
Yep. He's that way in the comics too, bro. He's that way in the comics too.
I gotta ask you, did he have sex with a chameleon? Is that how they...
Well, in the comics he is a Durlan like chameleon, Nepo.
Okay.
There's also very complicated time travel stuff with him having been in the 20th century, although not on Earth, out in space, and hanging out with Brainiac 2. Honestly, the details already escape me.
Wow. This man, he's very boring to look at. I just don't understand how we got Chameleon Nepo from him.
Well, I think he was created in an era where the assumption was just there always had to be a millionaire funding the superhero, like
so
Green
out of
Arrow's
all the human-looking characters, we'll make sure that his son is the chameleon.
I think the idea that he was Chameleon Boy's father was not introduced to the late 70s, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So he was introduced, I think, in the 60s.
So it's like a retroactive type thing.
Yeah, it's a retcon, and then they made further retcons to make him more sort of interesting.
Okay. His accent did not make him very interesting.
No, he's, again, not an interesting character. I think he's very dispensable. I was going to ask, Matt, you see Cosmic Boy and Lightning Lad on the Starliner. They got bunk beds. Did you get Lower Deck vibes?
Yeah, they did look like the bunk beds. They were going for Titanic, though. That's what they were going for.
Yeah, I guess so. They're down in the low class, the steerage, as opposed to Brand. And did you have any thoughts on Saturn Girl's Sherlock Holmes routine?
I'm down with it. Is she like a sleuth in the comics or anything? Is she the...
No, really. Weirdly, Chameleon Nepo tends to more be the detective and the espionage guy in the comics, for kind of obvious reasons.
Bob, a couple of good lines this episode.
Yeah. Superboy X being very confused by the three founders' relationship, asking Brainiac, wait, they're friends again?
This episode, Bob, it was okay. I don't know. I think I'm just prequeled out altogether in my whole life. Like, I don't have enough prequels.
Yeah, well, I love the Legion, but their secret origin and R.J. Brand is some of the least interesting stuff about them. So
yeah, it's so weird. Like, I just don't. The episode had some action in it. Yeah, they got some fighting in, and you got to see the Legion use other powers, and the three main. What do you with the founder? Or the founders? Yeah, the founders.
Yeah, the founders.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the three founders. They kind of have their powers on display here, but that's really all it is.
Yeah, and I think the fact that they waited till literally this is what the anti-penultimate episode. No, it's the anti-penultimate episode of the show. Like the fact that they waited this long to show the origin means you don't need to show the origin.
Yeah, this would have been a better episode, I think, in season one, at least for me, as someone who knew nothing about the Legion.
It would have been better in season one, and it would have been less of a distraction from the Imperiex plot. But also, you just don't ever like. It's just not needed, you know.
Now I know how they're funded.
Yeah. You know about their organizational structure and their funding structure.
Good job,
The
guys.
one thing that to me, other than just the personality stuff, and it is nice to see more Saturn Girl since she's been way underused this season. But the one thing that was nice to me, you do get to see those Silver Age Legion costumes, especially on like Lightning Lad, Phantom Girl, and Triplicate Girl. What did you think of those very Silver Age costumes?
They stood out. Prior to this, that's really the outfits I've seen them in. That those kind of 60s, the whole 60s outfits.
And I think the most we saw of the Legion was like the Archie Legion in the early '90s, around Zero Hour, when that was started. And although it's not exactly the same, it's a very similar, like bright colored aesthetic to those.
Right, but they were kind of basic, though. There's nothing really special about them.
They're primal. They're essential. Not in a good way, not in a bad way. I know you're using basic in a pejorative way.
They're the prime of the character.
Yeah. So Matt, who is your non-Superboy Legionnaire of the week?
Well, I just got to give it to Saturn Girl because, quite frankly, I've met my Lightning Lad quota for the season, and Cosmic Boy is kind of OP and a bit lame at this point.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's because Cosmic Boy has always kind of sucked. And yeah, like I said, it's good to see her again. I've missed her as well. So let's both give it to Saturn Girl. Matt, I'm not going to make you read a plot for Subspace Rhapsody because what's the point? It's the musical episode.
Yeah, Bob, it was a musical episode. Very divisive.
Very divisive for very stupid reasons. I guess to start off, I didn't really process this until the Previously On threw it in my face. But man, there's a lot of romance on this ship. We've got Pike and Battelle, we've got Noonie and Sing and Kirk, we've got Spock and Chapel.
We got Boimler in number one.
Yeah, but Boimler's not in this one.
Yeah.
And I really did like number one, literally smelling the horniness on Noonie and Sing. That was great.
Yeah, this reminded me of a scene between Kira and Dax in one of the earlier seasons of DS9. I could not for the life of me remember specifically which dude they were talking about.
I'm going to frustrate you by saying I also vaguely remember this scene, but yeah, I can't place it at all.
And I mainly remember it because I made fun of it on our podcast episode, our coverage of the episode, because I was like, they have a girl talk,
Well, maybe if you search through our notes folder with girl talk, you will find the notes for the episode in question.
But Bob, I know that after watching the Barbie movie last night, I shouldn't be talking like that.
So Matt, how did you like Barbie? The Barbies do not 9/11. How did you like the Barbies do January 6th?
It was okay, Bob. It had a lot of different messages going on. A lot of different messages.
Are you telling me a movie made from pre-existing IP was ideologically incoherent? No.
Yes, very incoherent.
No.
Like I needed a notebook to write down what. I don't know. There was too much going on in this film.
Well, Matt, I have to ask on behalf of our listeners, when are you going to put out the 43-minute solo episode of you destroying the Barbie video on our feed?
I'm not destroying the Barbie. It had very good points. I mean, I'm not saying that it was like.
No. I'm just saying you're going to become Ben Shapiro, man. That's what's going to happen.
No, I'm not. Shapiro, fuck you.
Speaking of lame dudes, Matt, do you remember Roger Corby from the original series?
Strangely, Bob, I do know this guy. I didn't know him.
How do you know this man?
Star Trek Encyclopedia.
That's good. That's good.
I knew nothing about Nurse Chapel. Then I got that encyclopedia and was like, I'm going to look up what Nurse Chapel did. Oh, okay. Roger Corby.
Yeah. So he was Chapel's fiance and missing, and then in one of the earlier episodes of the original series, I want to say Dagger of the Mind, but maybe it's What Are Little Children Made Of, or maybe it's a different one. But in one of the early episodes of the original series, they find him. He doesn't survive them finding him, blah, blah, blah. But they play it as that's the reason she signs up to be on the Enterprise, is she thinks there's a better chance that the Enterprise might find him than any other way.
She wants to get in Spock's pants.
Well, I mean, I think this episode pretty does well put the Spock Chapel thing to bed if they want to. And
Is that because he's the X?
I'm the X.
Yeah, and
He's
you can
the
just
X.
have the strange tension and longing between them in the original series, and just know it's from that time when she broke up with him in a musical number on the bar that the ship used to have.
It's because he's the X.
Yeah, I got it, Matt. I got it. You can stop saying it. So, Matt, one of my favorite points to bring up from season 1, which you were alternatively, I would say, dismissive and rude about, was that there might be a connection between the navigator named Jenna Mitchell and, the famous character from the second pilot of Star Trek, Gary Mitchell, who gets godlike powers and is Kirk's friend from way back. Kirk being on the bridge of the Enterprise, this episode really brought up that possibility, but it didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, people have opinions on this, Bob, and they're not as positive as yours. They don't want that one person to be Gary Mitchell. I don't know why either. Like I personally don't give a rat's ass, but some people do. Get there?
I mean, I guess I could sort of see, because it is one of the best episodes of the original series,
right?
And they don't want them to be retreading on it, but on the other hand, it's just like, who cares? It's a one-off episode. I'm sure if Strange New Worlds or if they do the remade original series, I'm sure it'll be good. Like, why are people so worried?
Bob.
Yes, Matt. So is it time to talk about the genre?
No, Bob. What if Jenna Mitchell transitions into Gary Mitchell?
Oh, that'd be cool.
See, I got this.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think most of the people who are upset by the possibility would probably be even more upset by that possibility.
Most likely, yes. But I think it'd be kind of cool.
To hell with those people.
Yeah.
So, Matt, I assume, like most straight men, you're not a fan of musicals. Is that fair?
Oh, yeah, Bob. I wouldn't be caught dead watching a musical. I'd much rather, be banging chicks and lifting weights, bro.
This bit would be a lot more convincing if you'd saved the reveal that you went to Barbie last night until after.
Yeah, this is going to sound weirdly specific, Bob, but I like specifically musical adaptations, like the Star Trek thing here, of existing properties. I liked Wicked, The Lion King. There's like a Back to the Future one I want to see that's come out on Broadway.
Okay.
I don't really care for like original musicals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. So what you're saying is that you were devastated that Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark didn't succeed. That's what you're telling me?
Actually, yes, I would have gone to see that. That sounds actually pretty cool. Even though it did have like Bono music, so no, maybe not, but still.
Yeah, no, okay. That's fair. That's an interesting take. It also weirdly kind of like makes you the polar opposite of the fans complaining about this episode, because their whole mission in life is like, it's fine if original musicals exist, just don't kid it anywhere near anything I like. Where you're like, no, bring the musical to things I like. I just don't mess with it otherwise.
It's just you get a different perspective of the characters. That was the whole point. You got in even deeper with them through the song.
Yeah. I mean, I have to confess that as a straight man, not a big fan of musicals, but whatever. It's like, there's 20 episodes of Strange New Worlds. One hopes there'll be 50 or 100 before they're done. Like, one based on a film genre I don't like doesn't injure me.
Oh, that is the opposite of every single person's opinion that wants to spew it on the message boards and the Facebook. All of them are like, man, if this was a 26 episode season, I could totally, see this being an episode within it that I probably wouldn't rewatch. But it's only 10 episodes and they wasted it. Screw you guys.
Well,
this was
it's
a
also
fantastic idea. It was entertaining from start to finish. Get over it.
Well, it's also like the idea that like the musical is serious or not serious, and Star Trek episodes should be serious, like flying in the face of, like times when McCoy and Spock met the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, or that time where Rumpelstiltskin came to DS9, or that time where Q made the TNG people play Robin Hood in a mysterious forest. Like, yeah, so much of Star Trek is not serious. Like, a musical does nothing to break the immersion. I mean, literally in season 1, we had that fantasy episode of Strange New Worlds, which, wasn't an amazing episode, but it was fine, and it was very much in a Star Trek tradition.
Yeah, there's this like amazing thread on I guess it's the Star Trek shitposting group, where they're doing exactly what you just did and putting out examples of like episodes of like weird ass things that have happened, and it goes on for like thousands of messages.
Yeah.
From every single aspect of Star Trek. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So now that said, not a big fan of musicals. I'm not very musically inclined. I don't really think I'm super qualified to judge this. So please don't take anything I'm saying here super seriously, and understand that it's offered somewhat provisionally. But as I understand it, the downside of a musical episode for a show is that it's pretty hard on the cast, who are there because they're actors, not singers. And I gotta say, after this episode, although I did enjoy it, I do get the impression that the Strange New World cast, not good at singing.
A lot of it was auto-tuned, Bob. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But you're right. Most of them, I don't think they could sing very well. I feel like Noonien Singh, which is pretty cheesy, her last name was Singh, she could sing.
Oh.
Kirk could sing. And Ortegas could sing. All the rest, I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure Chapel was the actress actually singing.
Oh, interesting.
At least that's just my. Once again, though, I'm prefacing this with my opinion. It's just like you did. Like I don't know. For all I know, they were all singing and it was all fine. There was no auto tune, but it just sounded. There's a lot of auto tune, and I don't feel like her voice matched her body at all.
Yeah. If somebody who knows something about singing wants to yell at us on Twitter and defend the quality of singing, I will absolutely defer. I will absolutely defer to that. That's fine. I might even retweet you. But yeah,
you might. No, Bob, you're gonna retweet. You're gonna re-X.
Sorry. I will say, Matt, we've established this on the show before. Star Trek Discovery sucks, and Strange New Worlds is infinitely better. But I do have to give Discovery credit in this one aspect, that in season 3, I'm pretty sure it was, they had I think it was part 2 of the Mirror Universe episode, Terra Firma. They had some musical scenes in the Mirror Universe, and they were great. They were better than this musical. I do have to give Discovery that.
Yeah, some of the lyrics in this seem just like they took the regular dialogue and just tried to set it to music.
Make it rhyme, yeah.
Right, and it just didn't come off as fun or entertaining, but it's okay.
Yeah. But we did get some amazing lines from this episode that I want to share. There's reports of musical outbreaks have come from all decks. That was great. There was Spock telling in a staff meeting, saying that I doubt we will become bunnies, and then Kirk kind of foreshadowing, the eventual original series is like, Mr. Spock, you explained that very well. I almost understood it.
That was definitely my favorite line from this episode.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Another thing I did really enjoy from this episode is like Pike getting humiliated with his girlfriend on the bridge, and the implicit idea that since Noonien Singh runs over to Uhura's board and shuts it off, Uhura could have stopped that at any point, but it didn't. I think that's really funny.
You could just tell too in Pike's face, he was trying so hard to control what was coming out of his mouth to like not embarrass himself.
So this is the first time we learn Batel's first name, right?
That is correct, Bob. You better enjoy her now, because guess what? She's going to be dead next episode.
Yeah, I totally called this too. As soon as, it's the episode before the finale and they're talking about, oh no, they can't do the vacation because she's been called away to a very special assignment. It's like, oh man, the Gorn are going to eat her alive.
She did.
Yeah.
Also point out, Bob, in our coverage of Strange New Worlds, I pointed this out in the first episode.
You did, and I was skeptical. I would say that I like her a lot less at this point in the show than I did at the start of season 2. Like, her involvement with the number 1 thing really left a bad taste in my mouth. And so I think part of the reason I was reluctant to embrace your prediction was I just didn't want it to happen. But now I don't really care. I do think it's interesting that the show is still basically going to fridge a female character for Pike's motivation, because that's kind of a big no in like woke writing.
Right.
But on the other hand, who cares? You've got plenty of great women characters on the show. Like you can kill her off. It's fine.
Yeah, like this show's Barbie in space, Bob. I'm kidding. Just kidding.
So Matt, I want Strange New Worlds to go literally forever, but it would have been hilarious if this was the last episode because the fleet was like so pissed with Pike for infecting them with the musical anomaly, and that they just replaced him with Kirk immediately since Kirk is already on the ship.
Yeah, the same type of thought came to my mind, Bob, once the fleet was involved. Because if you look at this season alone, look at all the bad shit that Pike has done that has affected all of Starfleet. He blows up that whole oil rig thing.
I like to believe they would have let that one happen, though.
Okay, his first officer steals the prize
ship in the pilot, and then you have the trial, and then he loses. He gets an important diplomat killed on his ship.
Yep. And then this. He doesn't have a very good track record, Bob.
Yeah. It would that would be a really funny way to transition.
What if, okay, Bob, you want to hear this is some dark shit. What if they kick Pike off the ship because of all this, put Kirk in charge, and then Kirk accidentally gets Pike's girlfriend killed?
Yeah, that would be funny if like you like had Kirk replace Pike for a while and then
like
you
temporarily,
have Pike get it back from Kirk, and it would be very kind of similar to what they did in like season 2 of Discovery, right? Which is sort of the 0 season for the show.
Yeah,
that's funny. I like that idea.
But speaking of Kirk,
Sorry,
Bob, let's talk about his on again, off again romance with Carol Marcus.
Yeah, did you like the references to Carol Marcus in this episode, Matt?
I was okay with it. It made sense, but they did say that she's pregnant with David, and the math, I think, does work out correctly. That would put David at 25 years old during the time of Wrath of Khan.
Okay, so you did look up the dates.
I looked up the dates, and I did the math. 25 years.
You did the math. You got out Carol Marcus's fertility calendar, and you were checking it.
I carried the one when I needed to. I was good.
One of the reasons I was just distracted was I'd forgotten to look up the dates this morning, and so I was looking them up now. So the Cage is 2254, the first pilot of the original series. We're 5 years after that in this episode. It's set in 2259. And then Where No Man Has Gone Before, the first episode where Kirk's in command of the Enterprise is 2265, so 6 years after this episode. And then what is the Wrath of Khan date?
Bob's checking that math.
The Wrath of Khan date is 2285, so that would make David like 26 or 27.
Motherfucker, it was 25 when I did it.
Well, I mean, you might be right, because she's pregnant in 2259. She might give birth in 2260. I guess the real question here is, though, does this negatively affect Kirk's character that he knows and that he pretended that he didn't know in Wrath of Khan? Because isn't that how it goes? He acts like he doesn't know that he had a son in Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's going to be an explanation for that somewhere.
There's a Vulcan mind wipe or something.
There's some shit that's gonna happen between
Matt, do you know how they got the date for when the first episode of the original series was?
No.
So the first season of the original series takes place in 2266, and they got that by just adding 300 years to 1966, the year Star Trek premiered.
So it's not really that scientific.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, I don't think we actually get a confirmed date until the Neutral Zone, which is the season 1 finale of Next Gen, where they confirm it to the people who wake up out of the cryosleep that it's 2364. Though clearly they're thinking it's been roughly 300. Star Trek is roughly 300 years after its premiere, and Next Gen is roughly 100 years after the original series. But yeah, I always thought that was kind of cool.
That was pretty. So Bob, there's one scene in this one scene that sticks out.
Is that the scene where we see Dishonor, Matt?
That's right, Bob. We see some Klingon dishonor. My opinion is, if that scene would not have been in this episode, I don't think it would have got as many positive reviews. I really do. I think that was what kind of made people go, "Oh, that's hilarious," and it kind of made them stop thinking about some of the music wasn't that great. Some of it was good. You know, like I think it just made them shift.
None of it was good. None of the music was good, but the performances were amusing.
I think it made people say like, "Oh, this is funny. This is okay."
Yeah.
But did you realize that Klingon was actually Bruce Horak, Bob?
I had no idea, Matt. I had no idea. That's very funny.
Yeah, so he came back again. It's him.
So I wonder, are they just going to keep bringing him back in more and more elaborate makeup? Is that going to be the joke? Or could this Klingon general be like a reoccurring antagonist in like season 3?
I think that he's just going to keep bringing him back in different makeup. That's going to be the joke.
I'm cool with that. That's a kind of good bet. That's a good bet.
Good.
So we already said, we established Battelle is totally going to die next week. We're going to look like fools if she doesn't, but that's okay because we're not going to look like fools. And, I will say the idea of Spock getting wasted with the Klingons to resolve things, that's a really funny trope. I wouldn't mind, similar with Bruce Horak always showing up in elaborate makeup. I could get down with that.
But Bob, they'd never mentioned that in TOS.
It is a little weird that Spock is a weeb for Klingon culture in Strange New Worlds, and he, as far as I can remember, shows no familiarity with it at all in the original series. But what you gonna do, Matt? What you gonna do?
Show so lame, Bob.
Speaking of that, Matt, you have a comment for us?
All right, Bob. Here's our comment of the week, and let me tell you, I had to scour high and low for a good comment because there were so many it was just nonstop negative shit or nonstop overly positive shit. There was nothing that just stood out. And then I saw this one and I thought, this one might be worth sharing because it just took it so seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Here it goes. I had to mute it every time the singing started and just read the subtitles. God, I hate musicals. This and Ghost of Illyria are on my skip list together now for when I rewatch next summer. Had to skip the entire Chapel Fellowship scene when muting it wasn't enough to stop the secondhand embarrassment. Gonna have to palate cleanse with season 1, episode 1.
Huh. Huh. I mean, I guess I do appreciate that at least this comment generally comes from a place of enjoying the show.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's just like...
You're not in some of the darker Star Trek groups I am, where everybody just hates this show intensely for no discernible reason.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of that, Bob. But I wanted to find some specific stuff here. This guy, next summer, he's gonna skip this and Ghost of Illyria. He's gonna wish he didn't.
I mean, I don't know.
I should direct message him and let him know that next summer he should totally watch those other 2 episodes.
What's that? I'm confused. Why does he think the Chapel Fellowship scene is that bad? Does he think it's awkwardly written? Does he just dislike how he thinks it's ham-handed how they're setting up? The stuff in the original series. I'm a little mystified by that.
I mean, even with it muted, Bob, it was not enough to stop the secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know. I mean, I don't agree with this comment, obviously, but I do think all the Fellowship applications of Chapel this season, maybe not the best use they could have made of her character.
Yeah, it's kind of boring.
Yeah. Not my favorite. Especially I like it best when she and Mbinga are just kind of doing gleeful, mad medical science,
Oh, and that's another one, Bob. That's another thing. People in their confusion thinking Mbinga and Nurse Chapel are somehow in love.
What?
Yes, there were some comments as well that mentioned that. And I was like, no, that was not the point of their song when they were singing together. It's that they shared this camaraderie from when they were in combat together. And apparently Nurse Chapel watched him stab that ambassador.
Yeah, she did. We saw that last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're friends. You can be friends with a member of the opposite sex. It's possible.
It's blown my mind, some of the things that I've read. But,
in the same ways that a straight man can be friends with a gay man, it's just these things are possible.
It's possible.
Not every relationship is imbued with deep sexual tension.
It's possible, Bob. Jesus Christ. All right. Favorite song?
Yeah. Yeah. What was your favorite song, Matt?
Connect to Your Truth.
The littlest things can mean everything when it comes to them and you. Connect to your crew.
Matt, I gotta be honest, I don't remember any of the song titles. Which one is that?
That is the one with Kirk and Number One.
Okay, yeah, talking about command styles. Yeah, okay.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Again, Matt, I like this episode. As far as I can tell, all the songs sucked, but I guess the Klingon one made me laugh the most, so I'll go with the Klingon one.
Why you only calling us when you got your dramas? One of these days we'll repay you, we'll slay you. Gonna draw your last breath at the end of my glance. Your eternal torture is every Klingon dream. You know what I mean? Make of us scream!
All right, Bob. Singer of the week, I go with Kirk because
Are you not going to tell me what the Klingon one was called, Matt? I don't.
Oh,
know
I
you
actually
know.
I don't think it had a. I think it was part of one of the other songs, so I don't remember what the name
sad.
is. Sorry, we'll just call it the Klingon K-pop song.
I'm really just calling out like a verse or a bridge.
Yes, basically.
in another song. Okay. Sorry, I failed everyone.
It's all right, Bob. But my singer of the week, Bob, goes to Kirk because he never tried to do the William Shatner singing thing, which I appreciate. Thank you.
Oh, what is the William Shatner singing thing?
I miss my wife. It's lonely out in space.
You know how, like, those commercials for his Priceline negotiator shit?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And he's just sing karaoke all the time. And he did Rocket Man back in the 70s. Like, he was like,
But doesn't he just kind of do it like in a spoken word scat kind of way?
yes.
Okay.
I'm just thankful the Kirk here actually decided to sing and not do some weird,
I'm gonna slightly disagree with you in saying him doing like a halting scat style would have actually been pretty funny.
I don't know. I think the further he separates himself from Shatner, the better.
I mean, yeah, maybe it's given that he's doing a good job of not doing a Shatner impersonation, and I've talked in other episodes about why a Shatner impersonation would not be desirable.
Right.
Maybe it's best he just steer clear of that. So, Matt, I was kind of surprised that you excluded her from your list of the ones you thought were, quote, good singers earlier. But I don't know. I thought number one, like, put the most emotion into it of any of them.
I think number one had the most struggle.
Jeez. This is why our opinions on this matter can't be trusted.
I like Rebecca Romaine, and I like the song she sang. It just, I felt like she was really having some trouble. But it's okay. Not everybody can sing. I can't sing.
I don't know. I just felt like I didn't feel like anybody was technically good, but I felt like she conveyed more emotion than like Pike or Chappell or Ortegas.
The most awkward one was Mbinga because he did not sing. He did not want to sing.
Which they specifically like have him say like in the conference room. Like he's like, I don't sing.
Yeah.
He's like, I get amped up on space meth and do spec ops. I don't sing.
Oh, speaking of stereotypes.
Yeah.
People are starting to say that we now have a Noonien Singh torture episode every few episodes, just like we did with O'Brien. She's become the new O'Brien.
I don't think that's fair because I think the essence of the O'Brien torture episode is that it has to be an utterly awful thing that's never mentioned again.
Oh.
Whereas with Noonien Singh, it's more ongoing, right? Like she's still tormented by the loss of Kirk, or she's still tormented by her heritage, or she's still tormented by fears of her heritage. And so it's too ongoing. Like to be a true O'Brien torture episode, it needs to be the worst thing ever and then just totally dropped.
We need more episodes, guys. That's what we need. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah. I would love a 25 episode Strange New World series. Although I would have some fears that would dilute it too much.
All right, Bob. Episode of the week was obviously the musical episode.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked a lot of crap about musicals, but they're definitely better than prequels. We can all agree on that. All right. Well, this has been our penultimate episode of Legion of Superheroes versus Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Join us next week for our coverage of the finale of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Join us after that for our recap of Strange New Worlds Season 2, for us wrapping up the last 3 episodes of the Legion, and for our wrapping up of our Legion coverage for now. This has been Uncanny Treks. I am Bob in Cascadia. That's Matt in the Southland. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks for listening.